Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show Podcast. How are yous, folks? Now, before we get into this week's show, know this. This is going to be quite a challenging episode, okay? It's going to be very difficult for me to sit on the fence with this one because we're about to get into everything to do with the UK Championships. We're going to wrap it all up, everything that happened on the grass in Belfast and everything that happened outside of the grass as well. We've got a lot to talk about. So we're going to possibly, skip through a lot of the news and updates as quickly as we can to get into this week's topic. So, it's a huge subject. We need to talk about the second major in the calendar. We have a lot of ground to cover. But before we do, let's get through our introductions then, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk, and we reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And we do have a Patreon. Now, it's normally at this point in the show where we plug it every week, and for good reason. Because see the amount of stuff that we have back there in Patreon? I always get tons of questions asking about all the exclusive stuff. Well, what is back there? What are you up to over there on Patreon? Well, my advice is to go along. You can click on the link and you can actually check it out for yourself. You have our weekly Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show up there. And last night's show actually was quite a juicy one, I'm going to say. The amount of strong opinions that came through last night on Fuse was kind of... It was a difficult broadcast, that one. So there was quite a few text messages and emails that didn't get read out on air. But we're about to get into it in this week's pod, so that's entertaining. But if you do want to go and check out last night's Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show, that's up there on Patreon right now for our Patreon faithful. And of course, we have our Fly on the Wall documentary series. It's available as well. That shows you what goes into making this show possible. And tons of exclusive interviews, performances, episodes of Rab Show Plus. Come on, there's just way too much to mention for our awesome Patreon faithful.
The Patreon faithful are awesome. The Patreon faithful are awesome. The Patreon faithful are awesome. The Patreon faithful are awesome.
Yes, they are. And if you do want to be a part of that Patreon faithful, just click on that link in your show notes right now and click on support. And you get your mitts on all of those juicy extras. Now, where do I begin with listener mail? Yeah, with each and every Rab show, we do open the door to listener mail, and this week is no different. But, folks, I do have to summarize a lot of the email that we got. As the season ramps up, so does our listener mail by the looks of things. We've got so much commentary about both the British Championships and the thoughts and feelings from that event rolling into the second major of the season, the UK's. A lot of people with such strong opinions. And, we're going to incorporate a lot of your commentary and all of that in this week's topic of the week. Okay, so your emails have been received. Your thoughts, feelings, opinions have been received by us and have been incorporated into our script for this week. So hopefully it will answer a lot of questions and raise a lot of points that you folks have raised about the second major in the calendar. So we will get into that. We also got a wealth of emails following a couple of competitions actually in Ontario. We got a bunch of stuff following the Hamilton Games and the Georgetown Highland Games as well. We managed to get videos from both events. Yeah, shout out to Bill who managed to film both of those for us out there in Ontario. Thank you, Bill. He actually gave us a bit of a rolling report from each event as well. So we will talk about that, of course, in the news and updates. But let's say Georgetown and Hamilton, two absolutely cracking events there for sure. And if you are curious about those, well, go and check out the videos, as a lot of you have. And yeah, we got tons of great emails about it. So many people talking about the 70th Fraser Highlander performance, actually. Yeah, have you seen this in the Georgetown Highland Games? Yeah, Bill managed to film that performance, including some of the stuff from grade 2 and 3 as well. Go and have a watch at it. There's a lot of really interesting stuff happening there in Ontario, and I think we should be paying attention to it. But we will talk more about that, of course, in the news and updates. But yes, to everyone who's emailed us in about both those games, Georgetown and in Hamilton, thank you so much. Yeah, so it has been received, but a lot of very positive feedback from our videos from those events. So there you go. You can all thank Bill for that. Thank you, Bill. All right. Also, in other listener mail, we got tons of questions, and we tried our best to answer everyone who were looking help and everything around the Chicago Highland Games. A lot of questions around what time does the solos start, what time does this grade start, etc., what time's March past, and all of this while we were in the UK Championships. So we done our best because, well, we were in Belfast competing on the day, and a lot of those questions rolled in actually as we were on the road home from Belfast. So we done our best to try and update everybody as possible, sending links and stuff to various websites and everything. All of the information that was sought, I have to say, in a lot of these cases, was already published online. Just kind of had to look at the right source, I get. And that's some of the things that we're finding here. Sometimes sourcing information on competitions internationally can be a challenge. Yeah. So for those folks who did send us in questions about Chicago, we did send you to the Midwest Pipe Band Association website. There was tons of information up there. And even locally here in the UK, tons of people had questions about the major, asking about what time each grade starts, etc. What time is March past was a big question. And again, we just sent links and everything to the RSPBA site, which had all of that information published. So we done our best, but, you know, as we're out competing on the day and we're out filming and we're recording and all of that stuff, it's very difficult to be able to get back to you right away. There's been a few people actually, this kind of surprised us, there was a few people complaining that we didn't answer them quickly enough. And to that, I have no idea how we can rectify that, because in a weekend we are out on the grass playing tunes with our bands, but we're also trying to film bands and all that. So we are working and standing, paying attention to emails is not really seen as a priority on the weekend. So, hi, that's on us. If we did disappoint and we did not answer you quickly enough, well, hi, I don't know. I guess we just can't please everyone. I know. There we go. But hi, it's amazing, isn't it? For a free service, some people did actually ask for refunds. And then this kind of got us wondering, a refund for what? Yeah, we got some listener mail in asking about links and everything for the live stream of the performances from the UK Championships and if they could be issued with a refund. Now, this really put the fear in us, and we were going, hold on, we're not charging for anything. Anything that we done from the UK Championships was done free of charge, and we put it out there on our socials and YouTube channel with no fees attached. Well, as we've done a bit of digging about this, done a bit of research, and we found that there was a number of fraudulent sites across social media advertising themselves as the official live stream for the UK Championships. Yes, and as you can imagine then, a bunch of people clicked on the links, provided credit card information, and the rest is history. So I'm going to put this out at the very beginning of this week's show. Anytime you see any links for live streams or official source for performances and stuff, that isn't ourselves here on the Big Rab Show. We would never charge for things like that. All right? So if you do click on a link and you find yourself putting in payment information, please know that that is not us on the Big Rab Show. We would never charge for that. And I would absolutely second guess anything that you're having to type in a credit card information into. I don't know. The likes of Pipe and Live and stuff like that, they have like the official live stream for the Glenfiddich, but that's all done through their website on official channels. Things like that. Even the World Championships, their live streams are all provided through BBC Scotland. And as far as I'm aware, that's all free to people available here in the UK. And you can watch them internationally. There are services available for that. But again, I believe none of them are paid. So if you do find yourself clicking on dodgy links, having to give over your credit card information, and then emailing us at the Big Rab Show and asking for a refund, and that we somehow managed to con you out of money, well, I'm afraid that isn't us. We haven't conned anyone because our live streams were completely for free. There was no payment information exchanged hands. So, yeah, I have no idea how those people can rectify that situation and reclaim their money. I have no idea how these fraudulent scam websites work, but we've been warning about them now for years. We've been very aware of them, especially this year for the likes of the New Zealand Nationals and things like that. There was all sorts of dodgy links flying about everywhere. You just need to be so careful when you're clicking on things. So, yeah, we couldn't really provide a refund to the service that we're providing for free. So to those people who did lose money, I guess I feel bad for you guys. There's not much we can do in the way of help. I would take that up with your credit card company and even possibly report it to your local police about how you have been basically scammed online out of money. So again, I'm going to re-emphasize any link or anything that we would be posting on the Big Rab Show is completely free of charge. We will never ask for your credit card details for any pipe band coverage, okay? We don't even put ads and stuff on our pipe band videos. You might have noticed that too. On our YouTube channel, they're completely for free. You can go catch all the performances up on YouTube and our live streams on Facebook and all that completely free of charge. We will never ask you for payment details for that stuff, okay? Hope that makes perfect sense. So for anyone that is clicking on links, please be wary and please be aware that it is not the Big Rab Show that is asking for your credit card. All right, there you go. However, if you do want to go and help support the Big Rab Show, go and check out Patreon. We're not going to sing again. But yes, you can go check us out on Patreon. We also have a shop as well on thebigrabshow.com where you can go and get yourself some sweet, sweet Big Rab Show merchandise. And yeah, go and check that out. Shameless plug. You like the way I did that there? That's quite cool, isn't it? All right, well, yes, if you do want to send us in any additional listener mail, of course, rather than anything that we've just spoke about or any previous episode as well, by the way, you can email us in. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and we'll always love to hear from you. There you are. Right, so listener mail quite packed this week, and so is Weekly Drone, as you can imagine. Yeah, our website, thebigrabshow.com, that big button at the top of the page that says Weekly Drone. Well, yeah, you people have been clicking on that button and telling us your thoughts and opinions, warts and all. And yeah, JD's going to read them out to us here on the show. So JD, let's have the first one for this week then, mate. This one's called Critics.
The Weekly Drone.
Who needs another critic? I do not understand why someone needs to say, "Hey Rab, check out this bad playing." I'm glad the links didn't work last week for the Piper in Boston that might have had a struggle. I hope that Piper enjoyed their play and will keep trying. Maybe they were overcoming extreme nerves and just being able to play was a success. Who really knows? I'm not saying we have to be all love and support, but there's no need to single someone out on a global podcast. If you like to criticize, remember, there is always someone better than you out there.
Ooh, Weekly Droner. Very accurate words there. Yeah, this is off the back of a previous Weekly Drone that was submitted to us that we couldn't broadcast, actually, because the recordings that they were referring to had actually been removed from social media, so we couldn't play it. But I think more of the point was not getting at the individual themselves. It wasn't to pick holes in their own playing, but it was to talk about the situation where it was such a huge event, a huge gig that was very prestigious, and they had a bagpiper on the stage that just went to pieces. So I think that was the story, and how, you know, I don't know, the preparation, maintenance, practice, all of that stuff can really count a lot. And yeah, whenever it comes to big events like that, it can still go wrong. So I think that was the premise of the Weekly Drone itself. It wasn't just to point fingers and kind of poke holes in the plan, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's a valid point. Yeah, as for as many people who can be very critical online, there is absolutely always another better player, another better band. There's always a better musician around the corner that can very much humble you very quickly. So sound advice, Weekly Droner. Thank you for that one. All right, let's get into the second Weekly Drone. This one's called Mid-Ulster, JD. What's this one about?
The Weekly Drone.
I have been going to Mid-Ulster Championship in Cookstown for more years than I care to remember, but I have never seen as bad a crowd as I seen on Saturday. The morning might have been poor, but it turned out to be a fine day. If people don't get off their backsides and support the contests, they will not last.
That one was short and sweet, but yes, Weekly Droner, you raised quite a valid point, actually. We spoke about this whenever we were talking about the Mid-Ulsters in Cookstown, about how crowd levels were significantly down. Now, yeah, we did sort of blame that on the weather as well, because that morning was really quite horrible. And I'm sure a lot of people would have looked out the window in the morning and went, I'm not going to stand in that. And you couldn't blame people either, you know, and especially that particular weekend for the Mid-Ulster Championships was a very busy day here in Northern Ireland. There was a lot of other events happening, and the weather played a huge factor in that. Now, was it all to do with the weather? I don't know. That's up for debate. I guess it has been a subject of debate on the show now since it's happened. And a lot of people were saying that the entry for the Mid-Ulster Championships were disappointing, because they remember the day when there used to be a full grade 1 with like 5 or 6 bands duking it out. And, yeah, like a full grade 2, except, you know, there used to be so many other bands attending our minors. Now we don't see that. We spoke about this last night on Fuse, whenever we were talking about Ravara Pipe Band are actually attending our minor competitions, which was so brilliant to see. You know, having one of our grade 1 big guns hit the circle at a minor competition, it's a big deal. And can be a huge draw for the crowd as well. But whenever they look at the draw and they see there's only one grade 1 band in the circle, it's not really a competition. It's more of a showcase kind of thing. So I get it. I understand it. And yeah, whenever people look out their window in the morning, they see it's lashing with rain, perhaps they're saying, you know, I'm just not going to go to that. You know, I'll maybe save my money. I'll save me getting soaked. And I'll maybe wait until the following week or the week after. And yeah, it's an interesting one, though. We are starting to see a decline in spectators at events. So what can we do to address that? Is the draw the answer? Is the weather the answer? Is facilities the answer? No idea. But it's a very interesting question, that one. Anyway, let's move on. JD, our third one for this week. This one's called Changes.
The Weekly Drone.
Drastic change in piping results. My Rab, isn't it amazing how a change in judges can change the results that much? How can a powerhouse like Field Marshal go from getting 2 8ths in piping in one major to 2 1sts in the next? Perhaps an agenda was on foot in Edinburgh to keep them down. The same could be said for Slot, who went from 2 7ths to 2 2nds in piping. Just food for thought. Will we see another dramatic turn of events in Perth? Will make for a very entertaining year if every major has a different winner.
Weekly Droner, it certainly will make for an interesting season. But yes, I know we're sort of preempting our wrap-up and everything from the UK because we're talking about the results here. But yes, there was a significant change in the layout of the landscape of Grade 1. Now, what I'm going to suggest here is that your mention of agendas, this was talked about on last week's podcast. Now, as for any judge that has a potential agenda, I am going to absolutely fly in the face of that and go, there is no evidence or even any sort of inkling that is happening at all. If anything, in my opinion, what I mentioned last week, is that a lot of these performances, there's so much hit at the one time. Does that make sense? A lot of us have the luxury of sitting at home, watching a video of a performance or a recording, and then we can go, oh, did I hear a little slip there? And then what we can do is we can wind it back and listen again. Do you know what I mean? But in reality, in the real world, standing there with that clipboard in your hand and you have 20-something pipers marching towards you, thumping out a tune, do you even have time to think? It's such a difficult job. Now, I would urge anyone, and I'm going to ask this as a bit of an experiment, and I want you folks to email me back to tell me how you went, okay? Now, all of us armchair judges, we love to try and predict competitions and all the rest, and we try and judge them ourselves as well. Come on, we all do it. So next time you're at a competition, stand at an arena from band number 1 until the end, and then jot down on a bit of paper or the back of your hand or whatever, and yeah, try and get the placings as you would judge them. Listen to each performance in its own merit, and then try to place each band as you see fit. Then at the end of the day, when the prizes get read out and everything, and the summary sheets get published, well, we'll just see how well you've done. Do you agree with the judge, or is it completely off the mark? It's such a difficult challenge, one of which that I have never been able to do accurately once. And all of my time with pipe bands, I've never really accurately been able to predict how first, second, third, fourth, fifth is going to fall. It's such a difficult job. So as whenever it comes to agendas, no. Politely, Weekly Droner, I disagree with that one. One thing I'm going to suggest here with what happened at the UK Championships, it was a change in discipline. Yeah. Now, the British Championships was medleys, and we've seen a lot of brand new music hit the circle, and such great medleys as well that are very complex pieces of music. And perhaps one listen through for the first time ever hearing it, it's incredibly difficult to gauge how that performance went based on the mood of the music that the band is trying to portray. You understand what I'm saying? These medleys are so complex and dense with so many counter medleys, harmony lines, reprises and counter reprises, and I don't know. Honestly, fantastic music, but incredibly difficult to judge. Then we get what we had this past weekend at the UK's with the MSRs. Now, granted, the MSRs that were played in Belfast were the big MSRs with the minimum of 4-part tunes. And that was an interesting dynamic as well, especially when it came to tune selection. There was a few repeated tunes in there that we heard more than once on the day. And it was interesting to see how each band tackled it. And that's another dynamic. So I reckon that's what changed. It wasn't the change of judges. I reckon it was the change of discipline. Now, that's on me. That's my opinion. I reckon that's the differences here between medley and MSR. And that's the lay of the land for our grade 1 at the moment. Now, whether that's stuff that Rab got wrong, I'm willing to take my lumps on that one. But I guess we'll see as the season rolls out. You mentioned Perth there. Yeah, that's the next one on the horizon that we're looking towards for another interesting weekend. And then, of course, Dumbarton. The whole season's going to be brilliant, As each competition rolls round, we get another chance to have a dig at each other in the circle and then tell another story. So there you go. That's another story told. Interesting weekly drone, that. All right, JD, time for one more, mate. Go on ahead. This one's called Not a Major.
It's the weekly drone. When is a major not quite feeling like a major? When around 20% of the original field withdraws. Look at the UK Championship draw. 14 out of 69 bands appear to have withdrawn, reducing the final competing field to 55 bands. On top of that, the number of bands performing seems to be down by around 15% year on year. Those are fairly significant shifts for one of the 5 majors. The big question is whether this is a worrying trend for the majors, or whether this year was simply a perfect storm of different factors colliding at once. Travel costs, player availability, contest scheduling, overseas logistics, band resources, and maybe even bands being more selective about which majors they attend. It would be interesting to hear the Big Rab Show's thoughts on all of this. Are we seeing an early warning sign around major championship participation? Or is this just one difficult year where the numbers took a bit of a kicking?
Weekly Drone, it's a very complex question, to be honest. Yes, we did see a significant drop in numbers when it came to the UK Championships, but the same could also be said for the British. We've seen a very distinct lack of bands travelling from Northern Ireland to the British. Well, we had the counter-argument of that for the UK's. We had a significant decrease in numbers of bands from Scotland skipping across the Irish Sea to compete in Belfast. So, yeah, a lot of bands that were entered to compete at the UK's withdrew at the last moment. Now, we'll probably talk about that in our topic of the week, but to tackle it now, I do think a lot was to do with the actual news that was happening at the time. I'm sure you've seen it. Well, we talked about it last week. A lot of the civil unrest that was happening and a lot of the headlines and stuff, it's all the really bad stuff that was happening here in Northern Ireland. Well, yeah, that could have put off a lot of bands from travelling. A lot of them might have seen the headlines and said, you know what, we're not going to travel. We're not going to head to Northern Ireland and, just not deal with it. So, I don't know. The UK Championships was a funny one whenever it comes to numbers. Yes, you're quite right that a good number of bands who were entered did withdraw. Now, as to whether the civil unrest was part of that, I don't believe that's the full story. But are we now starting to see signs of bands being more choosy whenever it comes to major championships? My answer to that is yes, I believe so. It used to be in days gone by that you absolutely had to compete in every minor competition and every major. There was no question. Is there a contest this weekend? The answer is normally yes. Well, then the answer is you're playing. And that's it. That used to be the train of thought. If you were playing in a competitive band at all, then that was the answer. You were entered for every competition that season, and you had a full calendar filled with events. And that was it. But now that we're starting to see everything post-COVID and things, I guess, well, here we are now, I don't know how many years later, we are absolutely through that rebuilding stage, but things are now beginning to settle, and bands are still struggling financially. I heard from so many people who just simply couldn't afford it, and that was the decision behind it all. They consulted all their membership, everyone standing in the rank and file, and said, hey, right, there's a major in Belfast this weekend, are we going? And the amount of people that just said, I can't afford it, paying for hotels, buses, planes, automobiles, whatever. Just the absolute sheer cost involved, the logistical reasons behind not attending came to the fore. And I think, a lot of bands listening right now, a lot of you out there probably listening to my voice right now can identify with that. I do know that a lot of the Northern Irish bands, whenever they're considering going across the water to Scotland 4 times out of the year, that is also a consideration. When there's 4 majors to attend in Scotland, when there's 1 major here in Northern Ireland, it does make for a very logistical challenging season, and all of that is now a consideration. Can you afford it? Can I get the time off work? All of that sort of stuff comes into play whenever you're considering your season. So many different angles to this. Is it now a warning sign, our weekly droner suggested, for things to come? I don't know. We talked earlier there about a drop in spectator numbers. That's a concern. But we're also seeing a drop in bands. And that's possibly the biggest concern out of all of it. If we don't have the bands, we don't have the competition. If we don't have the competition, then, well, we don't need spectators to attend to come and watch, do we? So I think our number one concern here would be the health, well-being, safety of all of our bands and making sure that they are all financially solvent and not putting themselves into financial hardship just to attend every major in the calendar. So if that results in us being a little bit more picky and choosy, well, perhaps that's what needs to happen for the next year or two. I just don't know how it's going to shake down. Hopefully the cost of living will get better here in the UK and we will see more bands attending more events. But it does raise the question, what our associations, what our event organizers are doing to help bands attend events. That's an interesting question right there. Our RSPBA does have a duty of care towards all of our bands to make sure that they are continuing in competing ways and to help support them in any way possible. And could that be an avenue of support for our association to look at? I don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it? A good question. But Weekly Droner, that's another topic for another day. But thank you for that discussion, an interesting one. And I guess we're going to see how that develops as the rest of the year progresses. I got a feeling we have another draw that's just happened today for the Scottish and Dumbarton. And I haven't clicked the button yet, but I will. And we'll get into seeing just how the numbers go for Dumbarton. We'll get into that. But I think that's it by way of an introduction. That's the start of the show completed. So if you do want to send us in your own weekly drone, of course you can do. Our website, thebigrabshow.com, that big button at the top of the page, weekly drone. And you can let us know your thoughts and feelings on spectator numbers, band numbers, and anything we're about to talk about in this week's episode or any previous ones. You can let us know your thoughts. All right, folks, I think it's time for me to take a wee break at this point, but I'll be right back with all of the news and updates after this. Ever wish you had a piping teacher on call 24/7? Well, now you do. Introducing the Interactive Player, a game-changing new practice tool at Dojo University. Play along with world champion pipers while the notes on your sheet music light up in time. Loop tricky phrases, slow down tough sections, zoom in to focus, and build speed automatically. It's like having a teacher right in your practice room, showing you how to master every tune at your own pace. So, sign up for a free trial today at pipersdojo.com and start learning smarter with Dojo U's Interactive Player. Alrighty, time for the news and updates. Now, folks, I did say this at the beginning of the show. We're going to have to kind of get through this as quickly as we can because there is so much that we need to talk about with the UKs. And there's also so much news to get through. I don't know. Sometimes the middle of the season can be really intense. And it shows. This past weekend was so much piping and drumming action. Kind of crazy, makes your head spin. First of all, let's talk about those competitions we mentioned at the beginning of the show there. First of all, let's look towards Hamilton in Ontario there, thanks to the PBBSO. We did mention this on last week's show, so that's on me. Let's go through the band results here really briefly. By the way, the performances from the Hamilton competition is available on the Rab Show YouTube channel, so thanks to Bill again. So let's go through the results from Hamilton. Starting from Grade 5, the winners on the day were Peel Regional Police. Well done, Peel. Second was the London Firefighters. Third was Hamilton Police. There you are. And third was the Spirit of Ontario. There you are. It's Grade 5. In the Grade 4, then, we had the Mohawk Valley Frasers, followed by the Hamilton Police Pipe Band in second. In third was the Dundas Pipes and Drums. And in fourth was the Paris Port Dover Pipe Band. That was your Grade 4. Then the highest grade on the day was a Grade 3 competition, which was medley on the day in Hamilton, and the winners were the Guelph Pipe Band. Yes, and in second place was Hamilton Police. There you go. Now, as I've said, there's a full wealth of information to do with all of the soloists. If anything, the solo action at the Hamilton Games was quite intense, I think. And by all intents and purposes, I believe that the entries for solos had actually increased from previous years. So it's brilliant to see the solo scene actually thriving there at the Hamilton competition. So for full details, again, go to the PBBSO, check out all that information about the Hamilton competition. And those performances are on our YouTube channel. Right, let's get into Georgetown then, shall we? Now, one thing I had to talk about Georgetown is their juvenile grade. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get any videos from this because our videographer at the time was actually competing at the same time, so didn't get a chance to actually film any of these. But isn't it brilliant to see juvenile bands coming through the Canadian system now here at Georgetown? I've heard nothing but glowing reviews from the juvenile section at Georgetown. So, yeah, shout out to all of you. It was so great to see you. So, let's look at the results for the juvenile competition, first of all. In first place was the Hamilton Police Pipe Band Juvenile. You are. In second place was the Durham Regional Police Pipes and Drums. Now, I do believe that there were others in the circle as well. But, just full credit to the juvenile folk there at Georgetown. Just brilliant to see you. Such a positive development, and I'm hopeful that we'll see more juvenile action as the rest of the season progresses there in Ontario. Moving on to Grade 5, then, winner on the day at the Georgetown Highland Games for Grade 5 in Ontario was Smiths Falls Gordon Pipe Band. Yeah, I actually heard the run from this. Quite a good run there. In second place was Peel Regional Police Grade 5 Band. Yeah. In third place was the Kingston Police Pipe Band. And in fourth place was the Pipes and Drums of Lindsay. There you go. That was your Grade 5 medley. Moving on to Grade 4 then on the day. Winners was the Hamilton Police Pipe Band. There you go. In second place was the Glengarry Pipe Band. Third was the Durham Regional Police Pipes and Drums. And in fourth place was London Firefighters Pipe Band. And that was your Grade 4. Winners on Grade 3 on the day then at Georgetown was the Glengarry Pipe Band. Shout out to Glengarry. Then in second place was the Rob Roy Pipe Band. Yes. In third place was St Andrews College Association. Well done, St Andrews. And in fourth place was the Guelph Pipe Band. There you are. Moving on to Grade 2 on the day. Quite stiff competition in here in the ridiculous grades. This was really entertaining to watch, and you can go have a look at those performances again. Shameless plug. They're up there on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. You can go and watch at them at your leisure. But yeah, winners of Grade 2 on the day from Georgetown was the Ottawa Highlanders Pipes and Drums. Yes, quite a convincing win. 2 firsts in pipe and a first in ensemble. However, second in drumming, because the drumming on the day went to the Guelph Pipe Band, who finished in second place. Well done, Guelph. In third place was Peel Regional Police. Well done, Peel. And in fourth place was the Toronto Police Pipe Band. There you are. And that was your ridiculous grade in Grade 2. Moving on then, possibly the star attraction on the day, of course, was the Grade 1 competition. And yes, winners on the day was the 78th Fraser Highlanders. Yes. Now, they'd done so 2 firsts in piping, first in ensemble. However, second in drumming, because the drumming went to our second place finishers, Peel Regional Police. There you go. Now, as I've mentioned, all of those performances are up there now on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to say this. There's been so much commentary following the recording of the 70th Fraser Highlanders at Georgetown. So many people had opinions, left, right, and centre, and I'm going to let you go and watch that performance yourself, and you can draw your own conclusions, okay? I certainly have my thoughts on what I heard from the 70th, but I also have opinions as well on what I heard from Peel. Yeah, Grade 1 action there, Georgetown, very competitive stuff. And I'm really enjoying what the 70th are doing musically. Just go and have a listen, all right? Now, I know it's either going to be, you're actually going to really love it, or not so much. I don't know if many people will be on the fence with this one. It's such a good medley. That's my opinion, but you might disagree. But you can go and watch at it. It's on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel now. Thanks to Bill again for covering all of this. And the event itself, I got glowing reports from Georgetown. I was told it was such a great day. And again, the entry of soloists at this one was immense. I can't sit here and read the full hashtag lists of all of you soloists involved at Georgetown, but whew, you talk about a stacked card. Like, seriously, there's a list of names here as long as your arm, and it's brilliant to see. So it's great. Honestly, the solo scene in Ontario has definitely seen a bit of a boom recently, and I don't know what's driving that, but it's fantastic to see. But yeah, we're here for it. Yeah. So again, thanks to Bill for capturing those performances. We do hope to have more from the Ontario season as the season progresses. He does have plans to attend future events, and we'll do our best to keep across all of those details as they become available to us. Yeah. So yeah, that's everything that's happening in the PBBSO, and competitions around the corner still to come. Well done. All right, let's talk about the Chicago Highland Games. Oh man. What a weekend this was in Chicago, honestly. First of all, we have to mention Inverary District and their huge concert that they held over 2 nights there in Chicago. I have no words. other than it was just simply brilliant. There were so many people that attended that concert that were so emotional and were straight on to the email to us after the concert and going, oh my God, Rab, I can't believe what I just saw. Now, I did tell you to get tickets, and a lot of people took my recommendation and got tickets and attended the event and were absolutely blown away. So, yeah, thank you to Inverary District for a blistering show. I think it was rave reviews all around. But you did manage to kind of pluck on the heartstrings of a lot of piping fans. And, yeah, a lot of very emotional reaction to that concert. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, a lot of real heartfelt stories about hearing the instrument played like that. Anyway. So, a lot of people glowing reviews for our current world champions. On stage in Chicago, it was just such a well-run concert and everyone loved it. So, let's talk about the actual competition itself. Now, we had a couple of Rab Show team out there at Chicago filming things. I have to give a shout out to Gwen, of course. He was there filming things for us for most of the day. We are still working on those videos. Hopefully at the point of me recording this, that those videos should actually be on our YouTube channel within the next day or so. That we are finalizing them, okay? It's a work in progress. We'll get there. But we have tons of recordings from Chicago, and they will be seeing the light of day on our YouTube channel. I've had a good watch at a good number of these already as we've been working on them. And, yeah, the standard, again, even in the United States, has clearly risen. Now, I know I've been talking about the standard here in the UK, and it's took it up a step. But, come on, what's happening there in the US and in Chicago? I don't know. You folks are definitely up in your game. The standard has definitely increased. Now, we got a bit of an on-the-ground report from one of the Rab Show team helpers who gave us a bit of a written report on everything that happened at the Chicago Highland Games. So I'm going to read it. She emailed it into us. So let's say what the crack is here. First of all, I want to give a big shout-out to the MWPBA and Chicago Scots for putting on this massive event. Absolutely. Maybe I'm biased because this is my home association, but they really knocked it out of the park. Do you know what? That's the feeling we're getting. A lot of people loved it. I was going to say they had a challenging weekend weather-wise. Thursday, when bands, judging stations, food, merch vendors would normally be set up, there was some gnarly weather. That's an American term. In other words, it had some crappy weather. Yeah, there was even a tornado warning during the intermission of Inverary's Thursday concert. This meant that many people started Friday morning a bit behind. Despite this, the MWPBA and Chicago Scots got things rolling along quickly on Friday morning. Yeah, we've been reading reports about the terrible weather there and the tornado warning and everything that was responsible for delaying flights and things into Chicago. And that was quite challenging for a lot of folk traveling, and some people were late as a result. However, a good number of the bands did all hit the circle, regardless of all the travel disruption. Yeah. So moving on with the rest of the report. As you mentioned in last week's episode, there were almost 800 individual solos on the Friday. Yeah, which was just nuts. Like, I was talking to people who were there on the Friday, and they just couldn't believe the sheer amount of performances that had to be listened to, judged, and allocated. It was insane. So well done to everyone. A reporter goes on to say, this was an incredible undertaking by Jim Sims and his crew, and I want to give particular credit to Julie, who was tabulating all of the results and posting them. Well done, Julie. The entire MWPBA staff remained friendly and helpful despite the mob of competitors politely waiting on their sheets. Yeah. Blustery winds blowing pipers away, even with paperweights on them. The blowing... And I said pipers there. It says papers. Blowing papers away. Even with paperweights on them. Speaking of winds, thank you to Steve from the MWPBA who came round and warned bands of incoming high winds so we could make sure that our tents were properly secured. Yeah, that's an issue. So, yeah, glad that happened there. Good stuff. Moving on, so the Inverary concert on Friday night was absolutely amazing. There was something magical about hearing the Dream Valley medley in person. Isn't there, though? It's intangible. Yeah, I agree with you. Moving on, so my son had recently started drumming lessons with our band and was absolutely in awe of the Inverary Drum Corps. His favourite part of the weekend was the confetti cannon at the end of the drum salute. They really know how to put on a show. Yes, I've heard about this confetti cannon. That's fun. But you know something? Concerts like this from Inverary and the guys there, like that can absolutely inspire the next generation. You know, events like this, and you bring young kids along to see, and they're like, hey, you know, come and see these world champions do their thing. And that's a big deal, you know, encouraging that next generation to show them, hey, look at this amazing music, and hey, look at the amazing confetti. But yeah, that I'm so glad to hear that your son got inspired by this, and you know, was just in awe of the Inverary Drum Corps. Brilliant to hear that. So, moving on with the rest of the report, it says Saturday was also amazing with over 80 band performances. They kept things running like a well-oiled machine, and if you've not had a chance to experience audio adjudication, it is a thing of beauty. Yes, I got a lot of reports about the audio adjudication, and I got a lot of stuff even off the record as well about this system and just how intuitive it was and how easy this system worked as well. A lot of really positive stuff about this audio adjudication stuff. We'll maybe talk about it in a future episode, but there was a lot of good things come from Chicago as a result of this system. Moving on. The report says, while it is nice to have an easy visual of the written sheets we get for our solos, it can sometimes be hard to read the handwriting or know what specific spot the judge is talking about. With the audio system, we get more tailored feedback. We can hear the exact moment the judge is referring to, and this really brings band feedback to the next level. Yeah, that's a lot of what I've been hearing. You know, that running commentary throughout a performance means the world, yeah. Moving on to Saturday was a challenging day for bands as we saw the sun moving in and out of the clouds, causing the temperature and the tuning to swing dramatically. Not to mention blustery winds and even some band tents being blown over. Yeah, MWPBA did a great job keeping people updated about wind and rain chances, and we were very well used to possible severe weather during our games at the MWPBA, and they were always on top of it. There you are. So, yeah, I've been hearing about the temperature swings and how it affected various band performances, and you might well see evidence of that whenever we publish our videos. There you are. Moving on, it says, as for the games themselves, there was so much to see and do, from the Dogs of Scotland Agility Show. What? Okay, the Dogs of Scotland Agility Show, to whiskey tasting, to merchandise vendors, to heavy athletics, and even a haggis hurling competition. What? Haggis hurling? You don't throw haggises, you eat them. What are you at? Anyway, moving on, there was something for everyone. The food was great and the lines were some of the best I've seen in the games despite the crowds. Yeah, I bet the food was great. You had to go and catch it in mid-air as people were chucking it about the place. What's going on? Anyway, finally, I want to give a shout out to all of the competitors. Everyone was kind and helpful, and the attitude helped everything to run smoothly despite the challenges, and was present in all competitors, regardless of where they were from. One of my family members even commented on how they saw Inverary interacting with people at the games and letting a young person try a drum. This is what Highland Games is all about, inspiring the next generation. Yeah, so, you know, that's the end of the report there. I completely agree. In fact, I seen a number of videos and photographs and stuff of the Inverary guys, you know, just like chatting to regular punters. And there was a fella said, here, do you want to try playing a chanter? Here, have mine. And then I've seen people like actually say, do you want to blow pipes for a bit? And then, you know, here's a set of pipes for you. Get them under the arm there, see if you can get them going. Brilliant. And yeah, I did see a number of little toddlers going up and having a smack or two on the bass drum. You know, it's so heartwarming. Brilliant to see. And yes, as I mentioned, like competitions like this can absolutely inspire the next generation of piper and drummer. Do you know, whenever you see what amazing music can hit that circle, it's a big deal. You know, whenever kids can go, wow, I want to do that. I want to be the next Stuart Little, Stephen McWhirter, you know. Absolutely brilliant. So shout out to everyone in that circle. I know we're mentioning Inverary a few times there, but yeah, to everyone who competed this past weekend in Chicago, it seemed to be an absolute roaring success. Now, I mentioned Gwen earlier. She was filming crazy amount of performances, and we are still working on those videos. So, but Gwen also managed to grab a very cheeky interview with none other than Jim Sim on the day. So, let's get a listen to it, shall we?
Gwen Titus here for the Big Rab Show with the extraordinary Jim Sim. Jim, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
We're so happy to be here. These games exploded, over 60 plus bands here?
We had 60 bands entered. We had 809 solo events enter. And last year we were at 41 bands, I believe. So it has come up, probably due to the fact that Inverary is here, I would imagine. But the games are getting a good reputation. We have a great judging panel. So I think we're doing all the right things.
That's awesome. We're so excited to be here, and a huge congratulations on your guys' huge success with this event.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Shout out to Jim. Now, I know that was a very quick, 30, 40 seconds. But that was brilliant. Thank you to Gwen. And it's just excellent to hear from Jim, who I'm sure was incredibly busy over the weekend. So thank you for taking that time to chat with us, Jim. Appreciate it, man. And yeah, this event, the Chicago Highland Games, we've been following it now for years. And I don't know just how to sell this other than it's continuing to get bigger and better every year. And I just don't know what next season's going to bring for the Chicago Highland Games, but I'm here for it. I just don't know how it's going to develop, but can it get any bigger? I don't know. Right, let's talk about the actual results then, shall we, from Chicago? Kicking things off with Grade 5, first of all. Winners on the day, and quite a convincing win, actually, was the city of St. Augustine, with ones right across the boards. Well done, the city of St. Augustine. In second place was Minnesota. Well done. In third place was the Roshandu Irish Pipe Band. Yes, in fourth place was the Grand Traverse. I could be absolutely pronouncing that wrong, and if I did, apologies. But then, in fifth place then was the Turach Pipe Band. Now, that's not easy to pronounce either. There you are. So that's your Grade 5 competition. But well done to the city of St. Augustine there, with ones right across. Well done. All right. Moving on to Grade 4 then on the day. Winners at Chicago Highland Games was the Sean McGonigal Memorial Pipe Band. Go on. Yes, well done. And in second place was the Bergen Irish. Yes. In third place was the 87th Cleveland. Yeah, that's a band I haven't heard yet, actually. So I'm curious. I have to go and have a listen to the 87th Cleveland. And in fourth place, we have Capital City. Yes. And in fifth place was the Kansas City St. Andrews Pipe Band. There you are. And that was your Grade 4 medley competition. Moving on then to Grade 3. Now, Grade 3 was kind of ridiculous. There was 13 bands in this grade. Both of them played twice. So you had an MSR and medley competition. So I'm going to give the aggregate and the winner overall. Okay, so this is the overall results and not your individual medley MSRs. If you do want to check that out, that is available on the website. But your overall winner for Grade 3 on the day at Chicago Highland Games was the Commonwealth Pipe Band. Yeah, well done, Commonwealth. Now, yeah, the Commonwealth Band actually lifted the MSR competition. Yeah, but they finished fourth in the medley overall. So, yeah, but that was enough to pull them into that top spot there on aggregate. So, well done to the Commonwealth Pipe Band. In second place was McAllister College. Yes, well done, McAllister. Again, second in MSR, second in the medley performance, and picking up second overall in aggregate points there. Well done, McAllister. In third place was the Prince Charles Pipe Band. Now, I did actually hear the medley run from Prince Charles, but all I'm going to say is oof. Ooh, it's a good one. If you haven't heard Prince Charles medley run, well, keep an eye on our YouTube channel. Hopefully, we'll have that video up for you shortly. Very, very good. So, yeah, Prince Charles finished third in MSR, third in medley, but, yeah, third overall in aggregate. In fourth place was the New York Metro Pipe Band. Well, New York Metro. Good stuff. They actually picked up the first place there in the medley competition. However, they were fourth in the MSR, but that was enough then to pull them into fourth place then in aggregate points, so well done. In fifth place was the City of Angels. Go on, the City of Angels! Yeah, I'm giving you a shout there. Well done. And in sixth place then was good mates of the show, Wake and District. And that was your aggregate results there for Grade 3. An extremely competitive grade. Like, I don't envy any judge having to stand there and listen and to place these bands, because the standard, again, grade 3 in particular in the United States has definitely lifted, folks. So I know our videos aren't up yet on the YouTube channel. We're working on that, but we'll hopefully get that up shortly. So go and have a watch at these grade 3 performances. I have to give a shout out to mates of the show as well, like Kevin R. Blanford. Brilliant to see us in the mix there, folks, and some real strong performances as well. They've got a 7th in MSR, 7th in medley as well, but sort of middle of the pack there, and then finishing in 7th overall in aggregate points, but definitely some really interesting music, especially their medley performance. Really enjoyed that. There you go. So that was your grade 3. All right, let's move on to the ridiculous grade then. Grade 2 did not disappoint, I will say that. And one band that I was particularly keen to see, well, they picked up the top spot then, overall in aggregate points. So well done to the Ulster Scottish Pipe Band. Yoo-hoo! Yes, Chicago champions. Now, they picked up the medley and the MSR competition, so well done to the Ulster Scottish, yeah. In second place then in aggregate was the Macmillan Pipe Band. Yes, well done, Macmillan. And again, second in MSR, second in medley. Absolutely stellar. I don't know, such a good band. I have a million different things I could say about what I heard from their medley run. And even their MSR was really strong too. I don't know. The grade 2 is the ridiculous grade for a good reason. Yeah, that's what I'll say there about Macmillan. It's ridiculous. Oh, wow. All right, moving on to third place then in aggregate was the Great Lakes Pipe Band. Now, I haven't heard their medley run yet, but I did hear a little clip of their MSR. So they finished third in MSR and third in medley. So well done. Third overall for the Great Lakes Pipe Band. In fourth place was Dominion. Yeah, now Dominion Pipe Band finished in fourth in MSR, however, fifth in the medley. But still, a very strong weekend from Dominion. Yeah. In fifth place then was Wasatch and District. Go on, the Wasatch. Yeah, the Wasatch finished fifth in MSR and fourth in the medley. So again, strong weekend there from the Wasatch. In sixth place then in aggregate points overall was the Midlothian Scottish. There you go. Also have to mention drumming and bass section went to the Ulster Scottish Band as well, and I was suitably impressed with their drum corps. Absolutely thumping a big tune. Very enjoyable stuff. Now, looking towards grade 1, of course, possibly the star attraction on the day, as Jim had mentioned there, Inverarian District did attract a good number of people to the contest, and yeah, they lifted it overall. Yeah, winning it, the medley competition and the MSR, and overall in aggregate points. Well done to Inverary. In second place was St. Thomas Alumni. What was I going to say there? St. Thomas Alumni Pipe Band there. Yeah, finishing in second place overall. And again, go and have a listen to St. Thomas's medley performance. There's a lot to unpack there with that one. Very enjoyable, especially from a drumming point of view. Like, I really enjoy St. Thomas's drumming. I have done for years. And yeah, such a worthy drum corps to listen to. Yeah. Anyway, go have a watch of the performances whenever they're published. They will be up there on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel very soon. I promise. We are working on them right now. Well, not right now because I'm recording the podcast, but they will be in the near future. So that's our report from the Chicago Highland Games. Again, a huge thank you to Jesse and to Gwen, who spent a lot of their time putting all of that report together for us. And all of those performances will be up on our YouTube channel in the coming days. Thank you, everyone. All right. That's it from Chicago and Ontario. Where do we go next? I'm going to very briefly talk about this weekend's competition here in Northern Ireland. Moira, yeah, the Lisburn and Castlereagh Pipe Band Championships are taking place in Moira Demesne this weekend. And the draw for this one has been a little bit complex, to say the least. There has been a couple of reviews published. Yeah, at the point of me recording this on the 17th of June, yeah, the draw has now changed, I think, twice since it was originally published. Now, that's never good news. And I think, yeah, we're starting to see why. Well, whenever we were looking at the draw for Moira this weekend, it appears that quite a considerable number of bands have withdrawn. Now, remember what we were talking earlier there in our weekly drawing about band numbers? Well, we're starting to see some of this actually biting here for the Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships. Let's go through it. And first of all, looking towards the Wild West in Grade 4B. Ooh, Grade 4B, we have 4 bands in total. Hollymount, Cleland Memorial, Brady Ulster Scots, and Tullylagan, my own band. Yeah. Looking at 4A then, we've 9 bands of Grantia, Graham Memorial, Clontibricht, Altnavay, Hollymount, Ballybreast, Moneygore, Cawtown, Marlaku, and the Queen Elizabeth. Yeah. Going on to 3B then. I think this is where we're starting to see numbers starting to go. I know even in 4B as well, there's a number withdrew there too. Grade 3B, we have the Cleland, Upper Crossgar, William Kerr Memorial, Ballyboli, Grantia, Down Pipes and Drums, Moneygore, and Drumloch. Yeah, with a number playing up there from 4A. Yeah. Moving on, let's look at Grade 3A then, shall we? Yeah, we have 9 bands in total. We have Cullabackie, Down Pipes and Drums, Ballyboli, Irvine Memorial, McNeilstown, Drumloch, Mapboy Memorial, Sirland District, and William Kerr Memorial. And that's your 3A. Yeah. So again, we're starting to see numbers drop here. In Grade 2, we have 6 bands here in total. We have McNeilstown, Irvine Memorial, Sirland District, Mapboy Memorial, Cullabackie, and Tullylagan Grade 2 are in the mix there. And then we do have a Grade 1. We have Ravara that's stepping in for a bit of a showcase. So, yeah, folks, whenever we see redraws happening or adjustments happening to draws of competitions, it's never a good thing. It kind of always seems to be that whenever they make adjustments to the draw, it's because someone has withdrawn. Yeah, and we're going to talk about withdrawals and everything whenever we get to the UKs. Yeah, there was a number of bands actually pull out last moment from that one as well, as we mentioned earlier at the start of the show. But that's part of the story. So there we go. Just wanted to let you know that the draw for this weekend's Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships in Moira has been adjusted. The full draw is now published in the revised form on the RSPBA Northern Ireland website. Go and have a look at that. There you go. Also, I'm very keenly aware that there are other competitions happening this weekend as well. We have the Loch-Orr competition, we have Ayr as well, and we also have Aberdeen on Sunday as well. So competitions aplenty, folks. You know, and even the South African scene as well. Come on. Too many contests for me to mention, all of the draws of which are all published. You can go and have a look at this weekend's action. There's a lot. I just don't know where to begin. What's going on? Right, let's look. We have the Northumberland Pipe Band competition happening this weekend in England. We also have the Patora Boys Championship as well. Patora Boys, of course, in South Africa. Come on. Right, so much happening. Way too much for me to get through. But suffice to say, all the draws for all those contests are all published. Go and have a look at them at your leisure. Speaking of draws for competitions. Yeah, at the point of me recording, the draw for the Scottish Championships in Dumbarton has just been published. Oh! Am I ready to look at this? Yes, about time. I have been waiting to click on this button since I pressed record, which was a while ago. So I am going to do this in real time. Like I normally do. Whenever draws for major championships takes place, then I do like to react to them in real time. All right, Scottish Championships, Dumbarton, draw 2026. Click here. Hey, there we go. All right, okay. We're starting with Novice Juvenile B. 15 bands in here. Whoa. Okay. All right, Dumbarton, you're not messing around now, are you? Oh, no, I'm not going to read through the entire draw band by band because that's what we'll do whenever we get the actual Scottish Championships preview. We'll go into each grade, each band, everyone we're excited to see and why. That'll be its own podcast, all right? We'll go through it in fine detail. For now, we're just looking at the numbers. Wow, 15 bands in Novice B. This bodes well. All right, page number 2 of the draw. Juvenile A, we have 9. Oh, that's pretty tasty in there for Novice A. Okay, this is looking good, man. All right. Page 3, then, grade 4B, the ridiculous grade. Okay, it's not the ridiculous grade. It's what, the Wild West, isn't it? That's what we've been calling it. Grade 4B. Yeah, the Wild West in grade 4B. Right, heat. Oh, we have heats. We have heats for 4B. Yes, that tells me we have at least 20-something bands in here. Oh, man. All right, so Heat 1 has 12. Oh, how many heats have we got? Moving on. Heat 2 for further 12. Oh, mate. We've got 24 bands in 4B. What? Now you're talking. That's a proper major right there. Oh, that's so good. And then they have an eventual final. Yes, so I can only assume that it'll be down to a final 6 with maybe the top 3 in each qualifying heat qualifying. I can guess, I don't know. But yeah, so late on in the day, bands will be duking it out in the Wild West for that Grade 4B title at the Scottish. 24 bands. Oh, now we're talking. That's a major right there. Brilliant. All right. I'm so happy now. That's brilliant. All right, moving on. Grade 4A, 17. 17's not bad. I'll give you a yay for that one. 17 bands. That's respectable. Yeah, major championship numbers, folks. That's good. All right, next page, page 6. We have juvenile. We have our usual 6 in here. Okay, no surprise. We normally would have our usual 6 for juvenile. That's grand. Happy with that. Yes, shout out to all using the juvenile grade. Moving on, grade 3B. Oh, 17? 17? All right, I'll give you a yay for that. Yeah, grade 3B, 17 bands. That's respectable. That's not bad. Not bad. All right, I'm not going to start reading names here. Moving on. Grade 3A. Oh, 18. All right, that deserves a cheer right there. Grade 3A, 18 bands in the circle. Brilliant. That is a major championship right there. Okay, quite happy with the grade 3B and A. What about the ridiculous grade 2? Oh, what? 15 bands in here? Wow. Okay. I was not expecting that. I was expecting lower numbers for the Scottish. Going on what we've experienced already at this point. Wow. That's a huge, ridiculous grade. 15 bands. Wow. Okay. Now, have we got our usual 9 in grade 1? Yes, we do. Okay, we do. Usual 9, as expected. Fair enough. That's okay. Hey, folks, numbers are up. Numbers are up for the Scottish. Hey, that kind of flies in the face of everything we just spoke about at the start of the show about band numbers dwindling, doesn't it? Oh, this is such a healthy competition here in Dumbarton. Oh, that's exciting. Brilliant. So for Dumbarton, of course, our Grade 1 bands get to play twice. They have an MSR and a medley to play on the day. Now, whether it's big MSR or mini MSR, I can't remember. I'll have to have a look at the playing requirements for that. But either way, we're going to see our Grade 1 big guns in the circle twice. That's so good, man. That's so good. All right. Moving on, let's look at our drum majors then. We have 4 heats for our juniors. That's brilliant. Good stuff. Our juveniles, we have 2 heats for juvenile. Okay. All right. Not magic. You know, I thought there might have been a bit more for juvenile, but fair enough. 2 heats. And then for adults, 6. 6 heats for our adult drum majors. That's respectable. That's quite a big adult grade, actually. There you go. All right. So that is my real-time reaction right there. Oh, come on. Look at grade 4B. Look at that. That's crazy. Right, 24 bands in there for a major. That's smashing. Now, I'm not going to go through and start reading names. As I said, that'll be its own pod. Well, we will go through every detail, every grade, every band that we're excited to see at the Scottish Championships in Dumbarton. But, folks, that is a major right there. Oh, that's exciting. Bring it on. I can't wait to Dumbarton, man. It's going to be so good. Right. Okay. That's the excitement over with. I think it's time to stop talking about the Scottish. We will look forward to it in a future podcast, I guess. And you can email us in your thoughts, of course, for the Scottish ahead of time. You can email us in bigrabshow@gmail.com, or you can send us in your weekly drones. What do you think of the draw for the Scottish? That's quite good there, isn't it? Brilliant. Oh, that's cheered me up, nothing rotten there. That's brilliant. All right. Well, time for me, I think, at this point to kind of draw a line under all of the news and updates. Now, I'm very aware there's a lot of other stories that we could have got into this week, but I have to draw a line at some point. So it's time for me to go and get myself a big cup of tea. Yeah, it's time for the topic of the week.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies for all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs.
Marchify, the brand new home of Flam 5 drumming. Check out their brand new Strike bagpipe case, inspired by their colourful, popular and reliable Flam 5 drum cases. The Strike bagpipe case combines durability, style and practicality, protecting every movement. Shop now at marchify.co.uk with worldwide shipping available. Marchify, every movement protected. Okay, time for Topic of the Week. Yes, we got there eventually. And the reason why everyone's tuning in this week is, to hear all of the thoughts and feelings from the UK Championships in Belfast. Yeah, Grove Park was a brand new venue for the UK Championships and had a lot of people pretty sceptical because, well, myself included, to be honest, because it's a venue that I've never actually attended myself, never been to it, so had very little knowledge about it. So I was a little bit wary and going, well, hold on, is this new place going to be up to scratch? So before we get into all of the action in the circle and our drum majors as well, before we even get into all of the results and all that stuff, let's talk about the contest itself. Yeah, the venue. Okay, now honestly, my own opinion, and those of the Big Rab Show team who were there on the day, I actually thought the venue was really good. Yeah, it seemed to be very well appointed. Was actually, we mentioned this, now this is maybe a very nerdy thing that we noticed, but the drainage, the drainage of the ground itself, it was actually really good because the night before, on Friday, there was a huge downpour of rain, and we were expecting, oh no, Saturday we're going to be sloshing around the place in an absolutely muddy field. But no, it was really well appointed, and tons of space, loads of practice space, loads of, points everywhere for bands to set up their gazebos and everything. Just really good. The venue itself was very impressive, and a lot of people, when they have eventually arrived on site, we'll talk about that, but yeah, once they arrived on site, they were really quite impressed, going, wow, look at all this space, and yeah, can absolutely host a major with ease. Yeah. So areas of hard standing as well, just super well appointed. Yeah. Of course, Portaloo review. We can talk about the Blue Thunder boxes that were, by the end of the contest, were questionable, to say the least, especially the ones next to the beer tent. Yikes. But yeah, plenty of them everywhere, I have to say. And we're pretty well maintained throughout the rest of the day. So that's Portaloo review. But yeah, as for the vendors themselves, absolutely stellar. I have to say, this was one of the best majors I've been to in a while. And a lot of the vendor options is the reason behind it. The food selections on offer here was just brilliant. Like, I've seen some real artisanal sort of pizzas being made and stuff. Like, they were just absolutely gorgeous, stone-fired pizzas, like really gorgeous. Anyway, and there was a lot of other food options available, from your standard fish and chips to some really fancy stuff that you could really go all out if you wanted to. But yeah, the food vendors, absolutely top-notch. And from what I've heard, the pricing and everything as well, and my own experience as well from buying stuff from some of these vendors, yeah, they absolutely didn't gouge you either, which is kind of unheard of when it comes to a major championship. Normally you're paying like a mortgage to get a burger, but this is pretty reasonably priced. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to the vendors. Absolutely stellar. And there was loads on available as well. And not just from food and drink options as well. There was tons of other like information booths were there from like the Ulster Scots Agency as well. Just, there was so much to do. And if anything, it's because of the amount of vendors, I didn't get round them all, but it did seem to have its own little like a vendor village, but there was just tents everywhere with people set up with stalls selling things. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So shout out to the vendors. Really enjoyed that. As for the beer tent itself, I didn't visit the beer tent on the day. I kind of walked past it a few times, but as I did to everyone that shouted, "Hey, Big Rab, yeah!" Hello to all of you. You know who you are. But yeah, the beer tent, I think, was well frequented by the piping folk, and I didn't hear any complaints about the price of beer either. So, again, another success. So, I think as far as the venue is concerned, and the layout of the arenas, the final tuning areas, the gazebo village, the vendors, the toilets, everything was just on point. I did not hear any complaints about the actual venue. So, yeah, I'll give them a round of applause for that. Well done. A very well-run major championship that seemed to go swimmingly from an infrastructure point of view. However, the parking. Oh my God, what a disaster the parking was. Now, we knew that the parking would be a disaster because of where the venue is. It's in the middle of a very residential area, and as a result, there's zero parking. And yeah, getting car park spaces was a huge challenge. Now, I don't know, on the day itself was a very weird day whenever you were attending one of these pre-booked car parking spaces. And there's been so many stories about this as well. So many that I can't broadcast either. But my experience, I'll tell you about my own personal experience about car parking at the UK's. And in my opinion, it's comparable to other majors that I have visited in my time. I'm going to explain why. Now, I did pre-book my car parking spot in the Jenny Mount Industrial Estate and managed to arrive there in the morning just shortly after 8 a.m. Now, on my booking, it actually said that the car park would be open at 8 a.m. And whenever I arrived at 8 a.m. on the dot, they were literally just opening the gates. There was me and a security guy there with a coffee in one hand and the gate in the other. And he was opening the gate and let me in. He's going, "God, you're the first one here." I said, "Yep, I've got work to do today." He did ask me, "Have you got a QR code?" So you did. You had a ticket that you could download. And my understanding is that they were supposed to scan your QR code on your ticket, right? But I think it was because it was so early in the morning and the security guy that let me into the car park was a bit bewildered. Who's this fella with a kilt and all on driving into the car park at 8 o'clock in the morning? That was me. But there was a bunch of people behind me as well. So it wasn't just me there at 8 a.m. There was a load of others. But yeah, my QR codes remained on my phone unscanned. It was not scanned in. But however, whenever I just, okay, you're not scanning it, but you see I have a booking, that's fine. He told me, any of these spaces, go ahead. So parked my car, got my camera bag, got my pipes and everything, and made my way to the competition. That's when it got interesting. So let's talk about the walk to the venue. Now, it said on my ticket that the car park that I booked was about 10 minutes walk away from the actual gate of the venue. Now, thankfully, there was tons of signage all the way through. Now, you kind of walked through the middle of a giant housing estate. You walked up a main street, past some shops and stuff, and then up a giant hill, past a load of people's houses and whatnot. And it was a bit weird, being one fella carrying 2 bags and a kilt. And, everyone was like, "Where's he going?" There's some guy wearing a kilt, carrying bagpipes in the middle of a housing estate at 8 o'clock in the morning. As you can imagine, some people getting their breakfast were looking out their kitchen windows going, "What the heck is going on?" So I even had some workmen shouting at me, going, "Donald, where's your trousers?" And of course I shouted back and said, "I didn't have trousers." Kept them going. So very weird and a very long journey as well. The ticket said 10-minute walk. 10 minutes, my backside. It did not take me 10 minutes. Now, perhaps that's because I'm an older gent. Perhaps. But, yeah, a lot of it was uphill as well. Quite a climb to get to the venue from where the car parks were. And, yeah, I was absolutely jiggered. By the time I got to the venue, I was knackered. It was quite a trek. And for anyone who were carrying instruments or anything else from the actual car park, I don't envy you. A lot of people were complaining on the day of the sheer distance. Now, what I'm going to mention about how it's comparable with other majors, I'm going to look towards the World Championships, for example. A lot of the car parking available for our World Championships is the same. You need to pre-book it well in advance with private companies, etc. And you need to sort that out yourself. And then, well, a lot of those car parks in Glasgow City are quite a distance away from Glasgow Green. And there is quite a walk to do. So is the UK Championships an outlier with having car parks outside the venue, quite a distance away? No. I believe a lot of other major championships have similar issues, and I would draw comparisons to the World Championships where there is zero parking hardly at all around Glasgow Green because the entire thing's closed off, and then you need to just find a local car park nearby and pre-book it. So that is kind of similar. So a lot of people had issue with the parking issue though, especially those with accessible parking needs. A lot of them weren't able to secure spots that absolutely should have been entitled to them, but were unable to book them because they were sold out in an instant. Now, was there available room at the venue for additional parking for those with accessible needs? Absolutely, in my opinion. I do think that there was space at the actual venue in the park where you could have parked vehicles with those with accessible needs. Now, is that stuff that Rab got wrong? Perhaps. I am not part of the organising team behind the scenes that made it all possible. Perhaps the ground itself would not have sustained vehicles. Maybe they didn't want vehicles parked on the grass, you know, tearing up all that beautiful sod. I don't know. But yeah, I knew that was kind of the number one complaint from people on the day was the parking. So we've talked about it now at length, ad nauseum. I think we can let that one go. The parking was what it was. At the end of the event, with everyone having to then walk from the venue back through the streets of Belfast to find their car, it was so much fun to see so many people in uniform carrying their instruments and in some cases their trophies through the streets of Belfast, and yeah, on some occasions managed to accidentally block some roads when people were crossing roads and there were just like a big sea of people just like crossing roads and blocking traffic. And the people all took it in good humour. Like, they were all like waving, going, oh, look at all the people in kilts and uniforms and all, hello. And they were waving out the window and stuff. It was great. Anyway, so that's my experience of entering and exiting the venue. So I think, honestly, the venue itself was brilliant. The parking arrangements, not so brilliant, but hey, it's comparable to other majors. All right, let's get into the actual competition itself. Cheaper. So almost 15 minutes into our topic of the week and we haven't got to the results yet. Let's get into it. Now, talk about a crazy competition standard-wise. I was really suitably impressed, particularly with our drum majors. Now, where our drum majors was down towards more of the sea end, pointing towards the sea direction and, the docks and everything. And over there was really quite blustery. It was really windy on occasion. I'm talking to a few of our drum majors, actually. They said that the wind is more challenging than the rain because whenever you throw your mace, you just don't know where that wind is going to take it. So a lot of drum majors would like rain rather than wind. Yeah, and on the day, on the UK Championships, it was very windy. So that proved to be a challenge. So how did it all shake down then? Our UK champions for our junior level, start at the juniors first of all. UK champion for 2026, Willow Rose Elliott. Go on, Willow Rose. Well done. In second place, in M&D preference, was Molly Bell from Moneygore. Well done, Molly. In third place was Harry Couples from Sirland District. Well done, Harry. And in fourth place was Bobby Campbell from Queen Elizabeth. Go on, Bobby. In fifth place was Maya Lily Fraser from William Kerr Memorial. And in sixth place was Rosie McKinstry. There you are. And that was your junior grade. I don't know. Again, we're starting to see prizes being decided here on M&D preference. Shout out to Molly Bell, who finished in second place from Moneygore on M&D. I think this is kind of a story for our drum majors going forward. This M&D preference is going to continue coming through. Anyway, so that's even at junior level. Let's look at our juveniles then, shall we? And UK champion for 2026, Carries Graham from Down Pipes and Drums. Woo! Go on, Carries. Yeah. In first place was Carries. And in second place on M&D preference was Grace Surplus. Yeah, from Clough Finn. Again, second in M&D preference. In third place was Lydia Todd from McNeilstown. And again, third on M&D preference. There's a bit of a story here, isn't it? Yeah, the M&D preference again. So yeah, well done to Lydia from McNeilstown. In fourth place was Georgia Turkington from the Matt Boyd Memorial. Well done, Georgia. In fifth place was Catherine Spears from Burnt Island and District. Well done, Catherine. And in sixth place was Debbie Gilmer from the Altnavay Memorial. There you are. So there was 2 placings within our juveniles decided by M&D preference. Again, like, it shows you how close the margins are, honestly. And this M&D preference will be so key, I guess, whenever it comes to the actual final deciding of placings. That's so exciting. All right, let's move on to our adults then. And world champion and UK champion. UK champion for 2026, Emma Barr from the Field Marshal. Go on, Emma. Now, I managed to grab a wee cheeky selfie with Emma after she lifted the trophy and marched off with Field Marshal on the day. Spoiler. But yeah, Emma had such a huge smile on her face. She seemed to be quite chuffed with lifting the UK. So well done, Emma. There you are. In second place was Jamie Couples from Ravara. Well done, Jamie. In third place was Charlotte Ruddock from Battle Hill. Well done, Charlotte. And in fourth place was Louise Smighton from Closkelt. Go on, Louise. There you go. In fifth place on M&D preference was Louis Anderson from New Rawson District. There you go. And in sixth place then was Ben Dixon from Drumlock. Yes, there you are. So again, M&D preference coming into play there, separating placings. So Louis picking up the fifth spot there on M&D. Well done. So, folks, for any of the drum majoring action, my advice is to go along to the Rab Show YouTube channel. We do have some quite comprehensive cover of the drum majoring action from the UK's. Very enjoyable to watch. Do you know one of the things that I take from some of the drum majoring action from the last 2 majors is just, I don't know if I've already said this, but it's how slim the margins are. Every one of those competitors in there in our drum major arena on their day can absolutely win. And whenever you see how professional and how precise our drum majors are with some of these runs and the performances they do, it's incredible. I have a whole newfound respect for our drum majoring world, especially now I've been getting more kind of insights in recent days, you know, about the dress element and how important it is when it comes to, you know, picking up possible dress faults that are a thing. And the ground on the day at the UK Championships was, the grass seemed to have been recently cut. And, you know, even the smallest little blade of grass on your brogue somewhere, or even a little stray blade that made its way onto your sock, for example, that's a fault. So the margins are so slim, you know. So anyway, full respect to all of our drum majors. Well done to all of you. You're all champions, in my opinion. But, yeah, well done to Emma Barr, Corey's Graham, and Willow Rose Eddy, of course. UK champions. Wow, well done to all of you. All right, let's get into our bands then, shall we? Folks, where do I begin with the standard of the bands at the UK's? Kind of ridiculous is an understatement, but I need to talk about the number of withdrawals. All right. Now, someone mentioned it to me on the day about how disappointing it was that we weren't getting a novice juvenile B. Yeah, that absolutely was a story on the day. A lot of bands, you know, were expected to compete at a major championship each time round. You would see a novice A and a novice B, but this time at the UK's, no novice B. No bands to hit the circle for novice B. That's a story. But also for Novice A, we just had 3 bands in there. So a disappointing entry, I guess. But also, I think the tale across the grades, not just our novice grades, but a good number of bands did decide to pull the plug for whatever purpose. And we talked about that earlier. But it was disappointing. You know, whenever it comes to a major championship like the UK's, you would expect or hope to see as many bands in the circle as possible duking it out for a major title. But that didn't happen. But let's get into the results then, shall we? Enough dwelling on the negativity. Let's go to Novice Juvenile A then. We have 3 bands here in total, and winner on the day and UK champion for 2026, George Watson's College 369. Go on, the George Watsons. If anything, I'm going to give them a shout because George Watson's actually set up their gazebo right next to us in Tullylagan. It was brilliant to see these youngsters playing. It was just absolutely brilliant. I didn't see them in the circle because I was competing myself at the time that they were competing, so I didn't get a chance to watch them. But hearing them outside their gazebo, just brilliant. Yeah, so well done. They lifted the top spot. 2 firsts in piping, first in drumming, with a second in ensemble, however, because the first in ensemble went to our runner-up, which was the High School of Dundee. Well done, Dundee. And in third place was the Preston Lodge. Yes, go on the PL to give them their precise name. Preston Lodge High School Pipe Band 1027. Yeah, now, no one's explained the numbering to me yet. So if you can, let me know the numbering, how it all works. But yeah, shout out to Preston Lodge, picking up the third spot there in Novice Juvenile A. Now, let's get on to Grade 4A. Or what? Grade? I skipped a grade. Grade 4B. Yes, the Wild West. Grade 4B. I don't know. See, whenever I've been telling people that we've been calling Grade 4B the Wild West, they've been agreeing with me at every turn and said, yeah, you're absolutely right, because any band in 4B could jump up and win that title. But winners and UK champions in Grade 4B for 2026, Tullylagan. Go on, the Lagan. Yeah, so that means technically that I am a UK champion. Yeah, so brilliant result. So yeah, shout out to everyone there at Tullylagan Pipe Band. It's just such an enjoyable day. We'd actually, I don't know, we've put in so much work, you know, and I'm sure every band in that grade in 4B is absolutely thumping tunes out every week at band practice, and, well, ourselves included. So it's just great to see how 4B, the standard continues to rise with each competition, and I was just so chuffed that we managed to have a good run in the circle we were happy with, and, yeah, we left some things on the table, you know. There's always room for improvement, but very, very happy to walk away with a major championship win. Shout out to Tullylagan. Fantastic. We also lifted the drumming as well. So shout out to Marcus and everyone there at the back line. Yeah! Go on, the Lagan Drum Corps. Yeah. So Tullylagan managed to lift that top spot actually on ensemble preference, because we had 2 fourths in piping. However, we had a first drumming and ensemble, and that was enough to pull us into that top spot there. So there you go. In second place, the runner-up on the day was Hollymount. Now, yeah, Hollymount were in second there, but 2 firsts in piping. They actually lifted the piping there on the day. Well done, Hollymount. In third place was the Uddingston Strathclyde. Go on, Uddingston. Yeah. In fourth place was the City of Limerick from Ayr, of course. Well done. In fifth place was Breedy Ulster Scots. Yeah. And in sixth place was the Joseph Ford Memorial. There you go. So again, a ridiculously competitive grade in the Wild West. It's that sound effect again. But yeah, full credit to everyone there at Tullylagan who I know has been putting the work in. Myself included, of course, as part of the rank and file. But to everyone there at Tullylagan, just a stellar result. Well done, everyone. UK champions for 2026. All right, moving on to Grade 4A then. And UK champions for 2026, Carrigaline. Yes. Go on, the Carrigaline. Now, they lifted that top spot convincingly with ones right across the board. 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble. They swept the boards. Absolutely brilliant performance. Now, moving on to second place then on ensemble preference was Grantia. Yes, well done, Grantia. Actually finished second in drumming as well, so good result there for the Grantia Drum Corps. So placed second in ensemble preference, yeah. In third place was the Altnavay Memorial. Go on, Altnavay. In fourth place was Moneygore, yeah. And in fifth was Cullen, and in sixth place was Ballybreast. There you go. So, folks, again, looking at the overall summary sheets here for Grade 4A, you can see that they did not make things easy for the judges. That's all I'm going to say on that front. But, yeah, it's, I don't know, such a challenging grade, that in 4A. Now, myself, I actually managed to stand and film the entire grade. Yeah, I stood there, watched the entire thing from start to finish, filmed every performance. It was all held in Arena 1. And yeah, if you do want to check out those performances, they're in the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. You can go and watch the entirety of Grade 4A, and you can be your own armchair judge. But yes, congratulations to Carrigaline. Absolutely thumped a great tune. And yeah, deserved the win, yeah, in my opinion. Such a good tune on the day. Well done to Carrigaline. All right. Moving on to our juvenile grade, we had 2 juvenile bands on the day, and winner on the day was George Watson's College. Yes. And in second place, and also lifting the drumming on the day, was Preston Lodge High School, 969 to be precise. Well done, the PL. There you go. All right, moving on to grade 3B then, and winners on the day and UK champions for 2026, Drumlock. Yeah! Go on, the Drumlock. Well done, folks. Yeah, quite a convincing win by the Drumlock as well. 2 firsts in piping and a first in ensemble. Magic. Yeah, so well done. But also, the drumming on the day went to our 3rd place finisher, and we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, 2 firsts in piping by Drumlock, first in ensemble. That was enough to pull them into the top spot. UK champions. Go on, the Drumlock. Yeah. In second place then was Ballybowly. Yes, well done, Ballybowly. Actually had a real good tune. Had to listen to their run. Very strong stuff there, yeah. And then a 3rd place finisher was New Rawson District, who managed to lift the drumming on the day. Now, I was standing filming at Arena 1, and New Rawson District were just behind us, actually, where I had my camera. And a good number of times they made me actually turn around to listen to them. Yeah, as I was standing filming 4A at the time, New Rawson District were warming up for grade 3B. And the sound that they had, whew, something ordinary. So pay attention to New Ross. They're doing some good things there, yeah. In 4th place then, in grade 3B, was Kilbarcan. Well done, Kilbarcan. In 5th place was Down Pipes and Drums. Again, a really strong performance. Actually with a 2nd in drumming and 3rd in ensemble, so they were up the pecking order there. Well done, Down Pipes and Drums. And in 6th place then, to finish off the grade for 3B, was the William Kerr Memorial. Well done. All right, let's move on to grade 3A. Now, I have said this, and people are now starting to agree with me. There was a good number of people talking to me about grade 3A and the park at the UK Championships, saying that they looked at the programme, noticed that the arenas were running at the same time, and they had to make a choice. Which grade were they going to watch? And they were going to take my advice and watch grade 3A. Now, they did manage to catch up with me later in the day, and they say, Rab, I sat and watched all of 3A, and you're absolutely right. So I'm very glad to bring that to the show, to say that I am not stuff that Rab got wrong. Not stuff that Rab got wrong, but got it right. Yeah, grade 3A was just such a stellar competition at the UK's. Now, we're going to talk about the margins in here in 3A. Similar to our drum majors, there's a lot of preferences happening here. All right, our UK champion for 2026 in grade 3A, Burnt Island and District. Go on, the Burnt Island. Absolutely brilliant. Now, this, it all goes on points, right? And this is what made people scratch their heads for a bit and go, hold on. Burnt Island and District got 2 seconds in piping, a 2nd in drumming, a 2nd in ensemble, but placed first. Yes, they did, because of the way the points all broke down whenever you come to the summary sheets. We'll get to that, but hey, deserved winners in my opinion. Burnt Island and District absolutely thumped a tune. If you haven't heard the run yet, go and have a watch at it. Absolutely stellar stuff, particularly from the drum corps. I really love Burnt Island's drumming, so yeah, very, very entertaining stuff. Yeah. In second place on the day on ensemble preference, you're going to hear that word a few times, was Clockfin. Yes, Clockfin picking up the runner-up spot with 2 firsts in piping, a 1st in ensemble, however, a 7th in drumming. Now, that had everyone scratching their heads going, hold on a minute. How can you get a 1st in ensemble and a 7th in drumming? I don't know. Now, we've talked about this in previous Rab shows before, how there can be absolutely differences of opinions here between drumming, ensemble, piping. Yeah, they're all listening for different things. So that's my argument here. You know, if you need to go back and listen to our ensemble episode with Rab Matheson, go on ahead, have a listen to it now, and that might give you a bit of an explanation as to what could happen here. But yeah, shout out to Clockfin, 2 firsts in piping, 1st in ensemble, a great weekend's work there. So yeah, 2nd in ensemble preference. In 3rd place in 3A was the Major Sinclair Memorial. Now, they also picked up the drumming as well, so I'm giving your drum corps a bit of a shout there, folks. Well done to the Major Sinclair. Such a great weekend's work there. And in 4th place, an ensemble preference, again, ensemble preference, is McNeilstown. Yes, well done, McNeilstown. Yeah. Actually, a real strong run, actually. I had a good listen to that too. Well done. Do you know, I'm loving McNeilstown's new drums as well. Those white drums. Brilliant. Anyway, in 5th place then was the Matt Boyd Memorial. Now, Matt Boyd had been having such a strong year. And, the judges had a difficult time looking at the summary sheets here. So, interesting. I have had a listen again to all of 3A, and I would not envy any judge standing in that circle. I'll say that. Yeah. In 6th place then was Kildogue. Go on, the mighty Kildogues. Now, the Kildogue are another one of those. I mentioned them about the Mid-Ulsters when they came down the hill playing into final tuning. Well, they did it again. They did it again this past weekend. I'm standing filming, as I've said, and I heard Kildogue coming down the hill towards final tuning, and again they turned heads. That tone that Kildogue have, the sound that Kildogue have there, man. So yeah, very, very noteworthy. So if you haven't listened to any of those top 6 finishers yet, go do so now. 3A is such an entertaining grade, and well done to everyone that's in that bracket there. You can see here by the 2nd place, 4th place, and 6th place, all 3 of those were decided on ensemble preference. Again, it shows how tight the margins are in here. And, man, such an entertaining grade. But well done to Burnt Island and District, UK champions in 3A. All right, let's get into the ridiculous grade. And it was entertaining to say the least. And whenever you look at the summary sheets here, you can see that they give judges an absolute nightmare of a time. Now, I know I'm slagging our judges, honestly, but I'm not really. It's such a difficult job. And I don't know. Right, in our ridiculous grade, it did not disappoint because the points were all over the board here. And that tells you just how difficult a weekend it was for our judges. Let's look at it. Who was our UK champion for 2026? It was the Royal Borough of Annan. Yes, well done, Royal Borough. Now, they actually lifted the drumming on the day as well. It's not a bad weekend's work there for the Royal Borough of Annan. Absolutely. Now, in 2nd place was Manor Cunningham. Now, Manor placed in 2nd place with a 1st in piping and a 1st in ensemble. Yeah, so again, a blistering weekend's work there from Manor. Great run too, yeah. In 3rd place then was Uddingston. Go on, Uddy. Brilliant stuff. And in 4th place then was Johnstone. Now, I'm going to give a particular mention to Johnstone. Did manage to hear them outside the circle, warming up in final tuning, and I was really suitably impressed. Big, big sounds, and just, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. Just give you that goosebumps kind of feeling. Do you know, it's kind of intangible. Johnstone done that for me at the weekend. Just such good tone. Anyway, in 5th place, an ensemble preference was Denny and Dunnypace. Well done, Denny. And in 6th place then was Tullylagan. You go on the Lagan. There you go. So that was your ridiculous grade. And as I've mentioned, you can go through the summary sheets here. And now I'm not going to start picking holes and start saying, oh, there's a big gap here, big gap there. And there's gaps all across. It seems to be. Yeah. Like looking at, the ensemble placings, the drumming placings, the piping results as well. The judges seem to disagree quite often. So that shows me that grade 2 is living up to its moniker of the ridiculous grade. Such a challenging grade for the bands competing, but also for our adjudicators trying to separate them. I just don't know how they're doing it. A nightmare of a task. But hey, go and have a look at it. It's up there now on the RSPBA site, the full summary sheets. It's a very interesting read. Now, speaking of an interesting read, let's talk about grade 1 then, shall we? Things are about to get interesting. Now, we spoke about this at the beginning of the show. This was a big MSR competition, right? As we call it the big MSR and the mini MSR. Minimum of 4-part tunes. And I did mention there's a good number of tunes actually in here in grade 1 that were repeated. There was a number of our grade 1 big guns had actually selected very similar sets. Now, I'm not going to go through all the exact tunes right now, but suffice to say, all of these performances, by the way, in grade 1 are up there now on our YouTube channel. and you may well hear different interpretations of various marches, strathspeys, and I think one of the biggest culprits was the reel. Yeah. So anyway, there was a good number of repeated tunes on the day, and it was very interesting to see how bands tackled them differently. And this is when their own musical voice kicked in my opinion. Field Marshall's approach was different to Boghall's, to St. Lawrence, to Shots, and vice versa. Every band had their own approach to the tunes, and it was very interesting. Now, hearing the same tune played twice, 3 times, 4 times, that can happen. And we've spoke about this before. You know, bands don't really get to see what each other are playing until the programs are published. And they're like, oh, hold on, we're playing all the same tunes they are. So you can absolutely hear repeated tunes, but it's how each band approach them. That's what separates them. And it's so interesting. So, yes, of course, the results. Let's go through it here briefly. Winners and UK champions for 2026, the Field Marshal Montgomery. Yes, they've done so. 2 firsts in piping, a first in drumming as well. So well done to Willie Glenn Humson and the folks there. Lifted the drumming too. But they also got a 3rd in ensemble. Yeah, there you go. That was the only one that kind of, hold on. But yeah, absolutely stellar performance by the Field Marshal there. Moving into 2nd place then, our runner-up on the day was People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia. Yes, they managed to finish in 2nd place, the 2 thirds in piping, 2nd in drumming, 1st in ensemble. Yeah, well done, Boghall. In 3rd place then was St. Lawrence O'Toole. Yes, 2 seconds in piping, 2nd in ensemble, however a 4th in drumming. So they were down the pecking order when it came to the drumming. Okay, I'm not convinced by that. But anyway, moving on. In 4th place was Shots and Dykehead, Caledonia. Yes, 2 fourths in piping, 3rd in drumming, 4th in ensemble. That resulted 4th spot overall. Well done to Shots. In 5th place was Police Scotland, Fife. Yes, go on the Fife. Again, with 5s right across the board this time. Yeah, 2 fifths in piping, drumming, ensemble, 5th right across the board. There you are. And then 6th place was Ravara. So well done, Ravara. Actually, they were so chuffed with that result, so I'll give them a cheer. Well done, Ravara. Yeah, so 2 6 in piping, drumming, ensemble, 6s right across the board. Well done, Ravara. And in 7th place then was Police Scotland and Federation. Now, they actually drew quite a huge crowd on the day. People were very happy to see them back in the circle again, very clearly. And the audience around them in final tuning, the band actually found it difficult to move. I actually seen the band steward like actively nearly pushing people out of the way. Would you get back? I have to tune drones. Get out the road. But yeah, brilliant to see them back again in that circle for sure. So, grade 1, yeah, we have another chapter in the story. That is the 2026 season, don't we? Yeah, as we heard from our weekly droner there earlier about how things change, and I think the change that we've seen here is the approach to the MSRs. Now, is this going to be the X factor whenever it comes to the big yin, the worlds? Well, don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that front. We've seen what a medley competition looks like with all of the brand new music that's been unveiled at the first major in the year of the British Championships, where Shots and Dykehead stepped into that circle and absolutely melted our face. However, we have it now at the UK Championships when the script gets flipped, and we're now at the big MSR, and the Field Marshal stepped in there and slapped us all in the teeth, didn't they? Yeah. Now, I don't know. The full performances, all 7 of them, are up there now on our YouTube channel. I would urge any of you to sit there with headphones on and be your own judge. And just see, I don't know, see what your opinions are. I'm very curious, for people to do this exercise at home. I've done it myself, and I've listened through, and my placings were actually different from what the judges gave. All right? I'm not going to tell you what my own particular placings were because they're all over the charts. But I was definitely very impressed with the impact that Field Marshal Montgomery had, and stepping into that circle and that medium of an MSR. It's very difficult to make that your own. It's such a very stringent sort of, you must play the dots on the page kind of thing. There's very little room for maneuver when it comes to an MSR. it is what it is. You must play a march, a Strathspey and a reel. But it's how the bands tackle that. Do you know what? There isn't a bad band in there. That's my takeaway here. And I've said this on the last podcast we done when we wrapped up everything from the British, that it doesn't come down to mistakes anymore. It doesn't come down to, oh, I heard a slip there in the reel. Oh, I heard a mistake in the march. No, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in grade one. Mistakes are not a thing. Bad blowing is not a thing. Messing up a break or going into the wrong part isn't a thing in grade one. It is absolute musical perfection, in my opinion, in grade one. And it comes down to preference. So it's what that judge is looking for and what excites them from an MSR point of view. You know, every judge is different. That's where this music becomes subjective. You just don't know what music is going to move that judge with the pen, and what are they going to write on that sheet. They'll go say, yeah, I love that, or nah, not for me. You know, they could still absolutely be playing any tune absolutely perfectly, with no slips, no nothing, no blubs, no flubs, nothing. Absolutely perfect. And that judge could still say, last. You just don't know. It's all preference. And that's the beauty of the competitive art, I guess. And I know people have kind of criticized me for saying this before. It's not art. Yes, it is. It is. In my opinion, it's competitive art. Because one person's perfection is another person's trash, in my opinion. So go and have a listen to the full grade one. It's up there now on the Rab Show YouTube channel. Every performance is there in length. And I don't know. To every band in there deserved that title, in my opinion. Every one of those bands were just absolutely singing. And anyway, I'll let you draw your own conclusions on that one. I had such a good time filming all of that grade one. It was just a pleasure to be there and listen to that in person. But for you folks now tuning in online, I'm so glad those recordings are there for you. Going back and have a listen to them. I think overall my takeaway from the UK Championships is that the event itself was a roaring success. It was ran really well, especially the grand finale at the end. We didn't do a march past, we done a mass band where everyone marched on, played Scotland the Brave. It was kind of a bit of a car crash. After you hit the second part, Scotland the Brave, it just went off the rails because there's like 50 different versions of Scotland the Brave. And then other bands were playing at a higher tempo than others. It was a bit disorientating towards the end because they actually repeated it as well. So you didn't get 2 parts, you got 4 parts of Scotland the Brave. Yeah, first and second was repeated. So it was a bit of a mess towards the end. But it was a lot of fun because as each band finished in the park, they did so all separately. You could actively hear the crowd all laughing and, you know, joking along, saying, oh, that was fun. So it was great. So they done that, and then they did salute to the chief and everything, and every band was on the park. It was go. Speeches, prizes, home. All very, very quickly as well. So just to explain before I do wrap things up, a load of people were complaining that I didn't live stream the March Past and all of that. Well, that's because I was in the March Past. I was actually in the mass bands and everything, so I couldn't actually blow pipes and film at the same time. So, hi, my bad, I guess. Again, you can't please everyone. Yeah, so I couldn't live stream when I was actually part of proceedings. But as soon as the speeches started, then that's when I turned the camera on. So there you go. Hopefully I managed to get the results for you. The sound in the venue, absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. You were able to hear everything. And so, yeah, whoever was listening to our British Championships wrap-up, that was one of the big complaints on the day about the sound system. You couldn't hear anything. But, yeah, shout out to whoever the sound guy was at Grove Park. Absolutely brilliant. You heard everything, so it was fantastic. All right, that's it. We're going to leave it there with the sound system. But honestly, the takeaway, the UK Championships were a fantastic success, in my opinion. Yes, there were some niggly things that just weren't great, the parking, etc., that we all mentioned there. But hey, you know, honestly, I thought the event overall was a roaring success. And to every band in that circle that lifted silverware, and even if you didn't, congratulations to all of you. The standard across the grades, I know, has absolutely risen this year. And to everyone who did lift silverware, well, I hope the head's not too heavy. Yeah, I do know a number of you actually stayed in Belfast town for a few pints of the black stuff afterwards. It was brilliant to see you all enjoying yourself. Good stuff. All right, folks, that's it for our UK Championship wrap-up. We did try to incorporate a lot of your feedback, mostly on the car parking and all of that. Yeah. But also, we tried to answer questions there as well that you might have had in listener mail. So that's our wrap-up. If there's anything that we did manage to miss as part of our UK Championships wrap-up, well, of course, you can email us in, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and we'll bring it to a future show. Or, of course, you can send us in a weekly drone. If there's anything that you're really quite aggrieved about and you really want to talk about, but you don't want any recrimination on you or your band, well, send it into Weekly Drone. Go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, that big red button at the top of the page saying Weekly Drone. Let us know your thoughts and feelings on everything UK Championships. Yeah. So, of course, this weekend, we're back out again for even more piping and drumming. Of course, locally for me, I'm heading to the Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships in Moira. So, yes, as always, we'll be filming performances and live streaming results and all that stuff. And, wherever you guys are out there competing this weekend, do have a good tune. The best of luck to you. And, of course, do keep us updated, of course, on what's happening in your local area. And, we'll bring it to the future show. Next week's podcast, as you can imagine, it's going to be a doozy. Now, you don't need to be a genius to figure out what we're going to be talking about next week, but European Championships. Anyway, yes, we'll get into that in next week's show. If you have any opinions about the Euros, then do let us know, and we'll bring that to next week's pod. Yeah. That's episode 492 in the can. Thank you, everyone, for downloading this week and each and every week. Please don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show, about what we're doing here, talking about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And congratulations to all of our UK champions. The start of the season is definitely well underway. 2 major championships under our belt with a further 3 to go. Oh, man, this has been such a good year already. I can't wait for the Euros. It's just around the corner as well. It's going to be good. All right, folks, I'm out the door. I'll see you all in the next Big Rab Show podcast. Until then, all the best. Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.